My name is Alex Riesterer. I'm a senior marketing major from Edina, Minnesota, and I am a producer for One Step Films.
Okay, first question.
Um, I feel like exotic sounds like very like tropically. So I'm not sure if like exotic is the right word, but one of the weirder things I've eaten is definitely when I was in Uganda and we went to an orphanage and we ate like a traditional meal was like this like bread and then like we had like worms that were like cooked. So I only ate a few because they're worms, but it was that was an interesting one. My gosh, I was so different. I was like my personality kind of was the same, but I did a lot of different like things. Like I was such a nerd in high school. Like I would like a normal day if I didn't have like soccer practice was go home and like as soon as I get home like 3 p.m. and like jump on like Xbox with like all of my friends from like high school and we'd play for like 2 hours because my parents didn't get home till like 5, so you'd play video games until they got home because they think you're working on homework, but like I was playing video games, and then you'd get off at 5 before your parents got home to do your chores real quick, and then after that I would do my homework for a couple hours and then I'd jump back and play more video games until I had to go to bed. I don't know. I was probably less like confident as well in like who I am as a person. Like I think that in high school for like different sports and stuff like that, I would like not like I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to make this team or I'm not going to be able to do this. So I wouldn't like go like 100%. But I think I've definitely like grown more confident in like who I am since I came to university. I think it's like a lot of times I'll be like very like when you'll talk to me or something like that, I'll always try and kind of have like a natural energy about myself, or I'll try and be like very like enthusiastic or happy a lot of times. But it's with like how much like work everyone has to do, and like I have a lot of workload just like everyone else in our team, that sometimes you get like stressed out and you get tired and exhausted. And I think that was one of the things like on the trip, like you like couldn't really hide that anymore. It's like one of those things where even though you want to be like positive at all times, it's like sometimes, you know, life just gets to you and you can't like hide that you're like tired or exhausted or just frustrated or kind of done with like what's going on. So I don't know, like people see me during like the day where I'll like talk to people for like 20 minutes or like say hi to people, but then they won't see me like in like the library or something like that, like until like 3 a.m, just like grinding out like work and being like really stressed out. So I think that's like one of the things that some people don't see as much. Yeah. But I do really feel like for me, another thing was that the kind of like the bubble was shattered. Like Villanova, I still love Villanova and I love all the activities I'm in and the organizations that I'm in, but to a certain extent, I feel like the Villanova bubble for me is like shattered, and I realize that this is a very kind of, how do I say this, enclosed like community. So like a lot of the like issues outside of this university are not really seen as much or like not as talked about, or it just seems like Villanova can be like that like Disneyland at times, especially when you're like a freshman coming into it, that like everything's like beautiful and amazing, which there's a lot of great things here. But for me, like having seen what we saw in South Africa and having the conversations with like the people that we did, and like hearing like Mandisa's story really like kind of like shattered that bubble. And it's always just something now that I've kept with me, that like even though I love my life here, there's still like such a very real life and so many real problems outside of it that I can't just continue to ignore and just focus on my own like privileged life here, if that makes sense.